Could you pull the podcast over? I think I'm going to be sick.
This is Marvel's Budget Bullpen, and this is Albert Pyun's Captain America.
Yes, Albert Pyun's Captain America from 1990. And this is going to be a very interesting discussion because we have a situation here where we are privy to having access to two drastically different cuts of the same film. It's not an exercise we get to run through every time on the program, but it's one that I always enjoy. So this is it's like a pseudo-canon production. Menachem Golan was involved, but separated from the canon group like while it was in production or something. So it's kind of a canon movie if you squint, I guess. But the situation that I'm alluding to here with the two different cuts is that there is the officially released version, and then there kind of recently surfaced a work print cut of this from the man himself, from his own collection of film reels. Apparently the only reel of this that exists. And it was subsequently cleaned up and printed on Blu-ray by Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Video. And I think both you and I picked up a Blu-ray of it.
We did. Let me...
Yeah, I got mine too. One sec. Aha! Different skull. Different skull face. But yeah, this is the Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Video version of the film. Mine is numbered 194.
Oh boy.
And
I don't know. Where are you finding your number?
Mine came with a slipcase, so maybe it's only on that.
Man, you got a slipcase? Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, this was one of those things that I paid for like ages earlier, like pre-ordered it way in advance, and then it showed up at my doorstep, and I was like, holy shit, I thought that was a myth. Like I didn't actually expect that to happen. But, you know, I got it. I watched it. And what's kind of funny about this discussion is that I think both you and I had watched this version of the film prior to having seen the officially released version of it. So I think both you and I watched the official Captain America, released version of Captain America for the first time going into this discussion. And wow, it is a completely different movie. It's amazing how different it is, actually.
These two genuinely should, listen, I imagine there's more efficient ways to do it. Don't actually take my advice. Oh, no. Disappointing is that the camera is plugged in, so I'm not sure what.
Anyway,
I am really askew now. Film classes should show these two as examples of how editing changes a picture, because it is so radically different. It is different in tone. It is different in placement. It is different in pace. The shape of the movie is so wildly different. At the point when I was watching it, because I watched these back to back, I ran one, said, okay, and I ran the other. Like, it was a full, 3.5 hour experience. And about halfway through the director's cut, I'm like, these are bordering on being in different genres. Like, these are almost like not even because it's the same footage, give or take some deleted pieces. These are almost different films completely, just based on editing, just based on how they're cut, just based on the pace and the tone. And it's like, don't get me wrong here. The director's cut still has its problems. It's not a perfect film, but and hell, even the theatrical cut is perfectly fine for what it is, which is, a low budget canon action genre picture. But it is remarkable holding these two side by side. Fill in those of you at home who play Catching Up on Cinema Bingo, you can fill in the space of Donner and Lester comparisons. You can fill that square in. But even then, I feel like that comparison for Donner's Superman 2 and Lester's Superman 2 doesn't even quite jive. Because they're ostensibly the same picture with like either like more humor or less humor or tighter editing or looser editing. These are like fundamentally different films.
Yeah, I've never encountered such a dramatic difference in cuts. Because you're absolutely right. It is bordering on a different genre of film because there's a wistfulness and just like a depressive air in the director's cut that feels like a very subversive film, actually. Like it's very much not a superhero film. It's tinged with hopefulness for sure, but it very much leans much more into the man out of time aspect of the character, and also paints a portrait of Steve Rogers that I don't think has ever been attempted before, never even really conceived of, that is really fascinating. Like it's like actually the script is really interesting. Like some of the decisions they make with the portrayal of our protagonist. But yeah, I can't think of another example of a feature that has two separate cuts that are so dramatically different. Because Donner and Lester, the Superman 2 cut, is like the prototypical example of the recut that comes to mind first. But another one that I like to cite is, and I've done a full ass episode on it, I think, for Catching Up on Cinema, is Godzilla 1984 or 85. Godzilla 1985 is what we got here in the US, and it's just called Godzilla. Like it doesn't even have the 1984 number attached to it in Japan, but it was 30th anniversary of the character. It was a big revival for the character. He'd been absent from theaters for 9 years at that point, as far as I recall. And that is another example of a very different cut of the film. And it has a different emotionality. It has a different weight to it. But it's still not quite as dramatic as in this case. But what's interesting about the Godzilla 1985 comparison, I think, is that similar to that case, I think if you merged both cuts of this film together in some aspects, you would have the ideal version of it. I think the structure of the director's cut and many of the ideas it puts forth are far and away stronger than the officially released version of it. But there's certain elements of like the cutting of the action sequences and stuff that flows a little bit better. It has a little bit more propulsiveness to it in the official release. There's a reason that those cuts were made. It wasn't just out of malice or spite or something. It's like somebody wanted the thing to move in a different way. Someone wanted the thing to have a different mood and tone. So I think like if you merge certain aspects of both cuts, like Godzilla 1985, you would have like the ideal version of the movie that presently doesn't exist. But as it stands, I think you could do like a community college course on editing using this film as a base, because it's incredible, actually, just how dramatically different it is. Just a lot of it comes down to structure, but then some of the deleted scenes in particular add a dramatic weight, a dramatic punch to the thing that just is completely absent from the official release.
This is one of the big differences, and this is one of those things that I think another good example of holding things back to back for you classic film fans out there is Dracula and Spanish Dracula.
Yeah.
I think that's another wonderful example. The way that these are structured, because it's like with Spanish Dracula, it's like 30 minutes longer. It's crazy. Like it just gets, as the runtime goes, the chasm widens and widens and widens. And it's kind of the same here. To give you an idea of the differences, the theatrical cut is based within the idea of, at the half-hour mark, so at about like the third point of the film, the plot gets going. The preamble is done. Sort of the preamble and the setup is like, okay, well, who's Captain America? Who is the Red Skull? Who are these people? Why are they here? What are they doing? So all that is a half an hour of preamble, and then we get to the plot. The president is going to Rome for a summit, for a climate summit to decide on manufacturing and all this stuff. People are upset. The president has been kidnapped. What do we do? At the half an hour mark, we get our mission. And again, it's preamble. It's preamble to the main plot. The director's cut, that plot starts at the halfway point at 1 hour in. And you say, wow, that's a lot of preamble. But it's not preamble. It's all character work. The actual, like, oh, the president has been kidnapped plot isn't the plot. That's not the plot. That's something that happens in the film, in this story, but through the power of editing and through the power of changing the structure of the film, that becomes a culmination point that brings together our dueling protagonists. Because somehow in the director's cut, again, through this like really neat, like Eisensteinian means of editing, makes both Steve Rogers and the Red Skull dual protagonists, where they both have an internal life, and they both have their motivations, and they both have their wounds. And the plot of the president is what puts them on a collision course. And it's like, it's really interesting stuff.
Yeah, the character work is the most valuable aspects of the director's cut. It's almost entirely absent from the official release version. And I teased this earlier, but the way that Captain America is portrayed in this is, it's almost like borderline like blasphemous. Like if you go by the comic book version of the character, or, you know, even the MCU version of the character, because Steve Rogers is typically presented as, on the surface anyway, very much in line with this version of the character. Where it's in this, he's stricken with polio. He's 4F, so actually, I don't think that phrase is ever spoken in the official release. It's definitely core to the director's cut. But point is, we're in the midst of leg. Yeah, it's just he's an invalid to some degree. World War II is currently going on. I think it starts in 1943, so we've been in it for a couple of years. His father died in the Pacific, which is in both versions of it. But point is, on the surface, he's presented as he traditionally is just, you know, a physically not well-off person who wants to join the war effort and contribute, and does so by, you know, taking the super soldier serum and becoming Captain America. The major diverging point there is that in the comics and in movies or whatever the fuck, Captain America gets juiced and punches Hitler and beats the fuck out of the Red Skull, goes on to become a hero, seemingly effortlessly. In this, he is a fuck up. He is a loser. He is ordinary. Like they go to almost like great lengths to show that he is just a normal guy that is completely out of his depth, that is being used as a symbol and tossed into the deep end right out the gate. And there should be no expectation that he should succeed. He is not set up to succeed, but he's put in a position where kind of like the fate of the world kind of hinges on his efforts alone. And in his mind, even though he did save the day, he feels like he failed. And then he gets frozen, and then he wakes up and he has to contend with that feeling of failure and that feeling of absence and that feeling of being cast adrift. But the point is, he is portrayed as very ordinary and somebody who great expectations were placed upon, and in his own mind he failed to live up to them. And that is not something you see Captain America grapple with in comics or media very, like, I can't think of an example of that where like he's meek, he has a complex about he basically has not grown beyond the mentality of being somebody with polio who couldn't join the war. He's still the same person fundamentally, even though he can run and jump and punch people now. It's very interesting what they do with it.
The line that specifically like highlights it is in a scene that is entirely absent from the theatrical cut, entirely absent, and it is like a linchpin in this film. So Cap wakes up out of the ice, and he goes out, and he is in the world, and he goes out to find his commanding officer. He's like, well, geez, I'm thawed out, and I was in the army. I don't think my enlistment technically is over. Like, I want to get back in the fight. I want to get back into it. I'm Captain America. And he goes in. As commanding officer is a guy who is like, his memory's toast. He has Alzheimer's. He's like in his 80s now. And he's sitting there in the VA hospital. And Steve comes up to him. And it's made kind of clear the guy doesn't recognize him. And like, again, his memory's going, and it comes in fits and spurts. And this is one of those moments where, because on a note of structure, the theatrical cut is chronologically told, beginning to end. Bap, 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 bap. Red Skull here, origin. Cap is here, origin. They fight. He gets put on the rocket. He gets sent in the ice. Then there's the plot for the president, all chronologically. Pyun's cut opens with the initial crashing of the rocket. Like the rocket incident from the perspective of a little boy in 1943 who looks up at the sky and sees the rocket zoom by, who later becomes the president that gets kidnapped. Crashes in the ice. We see the Cap wake up, and one of the first things is Red Skull sees him in the paper, and then we get slow flashbacks. So now those scenes are recontextualized as Steve is in the back of a truck hitchhiking back down to California, and he sleeps and he remembers. He sleeps and he remembers this hazy party that was being kind of thrown for him, and it's slowed and it's slightly out of focus. And when Red Skull sees the paper, he sees the moment where Cap is holding onto his hand and he has to hack it off in order to be free. So these scenes are now recontextualized as their memories. And the same thing happens with his commanding officer, where there's like this fleeting moment where his brain like goes back in gear and he remembers being with Cap on the plane, about to drop him into the Red Skull's fortress. And he has this moment where he like, Captain America, whatever happened to him? And Steve looks at him and says, well, he had one mission. He failed to get his man. And he sat out the rest of the war. Every war. I guess that being 4F, that's what he was good at. Which is like, holy shit. Like, dude, here's the thing about art like this. Everybody disliked the theatrical cut because it's kind of a brainless, goofy action picture, and it has pacing problems, even though it is like almost a full 25 minutes shorter than
it's sleepy. Yeah,
it's pretty sleepy. Like it's not like a real driving force picture that grips you and grabs you. It feels like the Captain America Yule log. And it was criticized for that. This movie, people would have hated for the exact opposite reason. They're like, this is sacrilege. This goes against the character. They would have hated it for the same reason everyone hated Ang Lee's Hulk, unfairly. Because it's brooding and it's traumatic and I don't really know about this, guys, and it's weirdly kind of stylized and I want to see Hulk smash things, not this. And if it was released today, people would have been like, fuck you, that's not Captain America. And it's like, I don't know when would have been a good era to widely release this picture. I don't think there is an era where you could widely release this picture and get people on board. But I am so glad it exists, because it is a very unusual portrayal. Especially with the dueling ideas of, because it's like for Cap, for Steve in his life, he's a failure. He's a failure. He walked out on everything, and now, after one mission, after failing, he wakes up to a world where all of his friends are dead, and he doesn't understand anything. And there's a moment where he just takes a job out in the regular world just to kind of pass time, because he doesn't really know what to do. And he calls up the gal he was seeing in 43 is still alive, but she's elderly now. And he gives her a call and says, Bernie, like, who won the World Series in 43? Who won that? Like, as just kind of like an aside. And he's just like, oh, I owe so-and-so $10, and she's just like, Steve, he died in Korea. Be 35 years ago this July. And he sadly looks and he's like, God, what happened to the world? What changed? What changed? And so this whole thing that we have the failure who is lost in a world he doesn't understand is contrasted with the Red Skull of being taken under duress and his family being murdered and everything being so dramatic and awful, and the life that he could have had, a good life, that was stripped away from him by the fascists, and that he has had to embrace it. But there's still a part of him that also feels like a failure, that he can't play anymore. His hand is gone and he can't play the piano like he was born to do. There's no other film that is going to do this. There is no other portrayal that's going to do this. And mostly because fans would go ape shit and general audiences would be like, so when do we get to the part where he throws the shield and he punches a Nazi?
Yeah, when are we going to get to the fireworks factory? It's interesting because you mentioned you said you don't know of a time in which this movie could have been released and been embraced. I don't think there exists a time period in American history that this movie would have found an audience, like this version of it anyway, the director's cut. Because in the late 80s we finally started to get mainstream movies covering the Vietnam War. During the war, kind of famously, we weren't making movies about that war. I think the only one released while we were fighting over there was The Green Berets, starring John Wayne, which is jingoistic, and it's just a propaganda piece. It's a typical heroic war film. It's not like, say, Oliver Stone's like Platoon or something, Apocalypse Now. It's not one of those. We didn't get those until well after we were out of there. So there's shades of that kind of atmosphere that are present in the director's cut of this. That scene, man, it's such a good scene with the colonel in the retirement home in the VA center. I can't believe they cut that. Like, I get why they did, because it does slow things down. It doesn't jive with the linear style of editing that they brought to the official release version of it. But the dialogue and the sentiments expressed in that couple of minute long scene are very strong stuff. It's a very contemplative movie, actually, the director's cut. That's its strongest suits. It's like Albert Pyun is often thought of as, a schlock action director, like Cyborg, or I have a Blu-ray of a Lyndon Ashby and Rutger Hauer action movie from the 90s with the most bonkers fucking explosion at the end. Like he's known for doing schlock action, really, but this one, its strengths really are its ideas and its character portraits, like its character moments. And that scene is one of the strongest in the whole movie, if you ask me. And what's interesting, like during that dialogue exchange with the colonel in the retirement home, is that the colonel does say a few words about like the current state of the world, kind of mirroring Steve Rogers's perception of things, where like we turned a corner at some point and the world doesn't make sense anymore. He's talking about how wars used to be fought for a dream, like for a reason, essentially, as opposed to he directly, like explicitly refers to the military-industrial complex in a film from 1990. That's pretty early to be attacking that sort of concept. Same with the environmentalist themes of this one. That there's a lot of that going on, but moreover, there's a lot of emphasis placed on the notion of dreams and getting involved, like stepping up and getting involved. And the character of Captain America in this is so interesting because he himself is so doubtful of his strengths and his accomplishments, and yet seemingly everybody who he touches throughout the film, and it's emphasized very well through the flow of the edit, like the structural edits of the director's cut, seemingly everybody whose lives he's touched, he kind of reinvigorates them in some fashion. He kind of brings them into the fight, much in the way he is so anxious to, like so eager to get involved. Like it takes him a while to work up the gumption to get there, but he had the spirit at one point. It still resides within him, and he, of course, finds it towards the end of the film. But like over and over and over again, he seemingly lights a spark in like everybody who he comes across. Like the Colonel character has that moment after he leaves where he's just like, Captain America. Like I'm not saying he cured Alzheimer's or anything, but he made an old man smile for an afternoon. And obviously he inspired the Ronnie Cox character, President Kimball. I can't help but think of Detective John Kimball, or there's so many Kimballs out there, or The Fugitive, Dr. Kimball or whatever. But yeah, he inspired the president. He inspired the president's best buddy, the journalist. You could even make a case for Sharon Carter kind of like turning a corner in her life, like making something of herself, as opposed to just being an aerobics instructor. It's like, well, now I'm going to pal around with Captain America and save the fucking world. Very interesting stuff. And I also really enjoyed the parallels with the Red Skull. Because as you say, both characters bear wounds, like incur wounds throughout the course of their stories. And both of them have kind of interesting parallels in their origins, where one had it, he was drafted essentially, it was thrust upon him forcibly. And then the other one was he was a volunteer for the program that would change his life. But in the Red Skull's case, it's like it's irreversible. Like he's reached a point where, as you say, he lost his hand. There's that really awesome moment at the end when he finally attempts to play the piano, and it's like, I don't think I can go back. Like I think where I've gotten all these years of being this thing that I became, I don't think there's a way out of this for me. As opposed to the ending of the official cut, where he has a bomb that they never actually address how they solve that bomb problem.
No.
But he threatens them with a bomb and then is hit with a shield and falls off a cliff. That's like, I guess that's an ending.
After being distracted by a wire recording of his family's murder?
Which, to be fair, from an editing standpoint, they set it up. They remind you about that recording at least 3 times throughout the film. They do. They're not lazy. It doesn't come out of nowhere, but it's like, really?
But it's weird. It's really strange.
Yes.
I can't quite understand. Well, because the thing is that there's no close-ups.
Yeah.
In that scene, so it's because the scene in which this happens, again in the theatrical cut, it's what we see first. The first thing we see is the fascist bursting in to a teenage Red Skull. Teenage?
Young
he looks to be about
boy.
12.
Yeah, he's really
and then and then the movie said 7 years later, and I'm like, that is not a 19-year-old.
No.
That is not a 19-year-old Red Skull.
Super devil juice is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, listen, it ages you. He's like Old Snake.
There you go.
There is like a little bit of Metal Gear in this. There is a little bit of during the Cold War they needed men like us.
I mean, war has changed. You could.
Do you believe that love can bloom on a battlefield? Like it's a little bit of that, but the first thing we see is the fascists bursting in on him playing the piano as a kid, shooting his whole family and pulling him out, dragging him to the castle to inject him with their version of the the superhuman serum.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then the doctor who's developing it is like, that's a child. I don't think we can do this. That's really bad. And the fascists are like, yeah, whatever, lady. Anyways, so she dives out a window in order to get away, and she somehow manages to get to the US. The thing is that in the theatrical cut, the scene just kind of goes straight through. Like the whole thing just kind of plays, which actually makes it, doggone it. So in the theatrical cut, the movie just plays through the scene straight through. And it actually kind of brings you to having different questions about it. You're like, so why, like, wait, so she just dives out a window and then she gets away? And
she
like,
swam. She swam to New York.
It's like, how does she get to New York? The thing is that the director's cut breaks it up in such a way that you're like, oh, like, okay, so like, because it's memories, it's fragmentary, it's kind of weird because these scenes take place sometimes a pretty good stretch apart from each other. And so the theatrical cut's way of doing this, of distracting the Red Skull, is to play this recording that was apparently caught on a wire recorder. This is a precursor to magnetic tape. They shift this, they hold it up, and they play the recording as a means of distracting him. The problem is there's like, it's not really an acting moment. He just kind of pauses and listens to it, like the actor that's doing the Red Skull. He pauses and listens to it, and then he turns around for no reason. Like, for no reason at all. Like, as if he's just musing about it as he hears it. Which, listen, to be fair, I imagine hearing audio of your family's murder is rather distressing. So I get it. And then, we use the opportunity of him being distracted to throw the shield and knock him off a cliff. The director's cut essentially takes the finale of Cap bursting in, freeing the president within the castle and all of this. Essentially, as everything comes crashing down, its Red Skull goes up to the top of the castle. And in the director's cut, we've seen this place before several times. There's a grand piano sitting overlooking the ocean. But he always sits down, and he looks at the piano, and he looks back up, and he can't play. Now, when everything comes crashing down, when he's cornered, when his men are dead, when he knows there's no way out, he tries to play. He's trying his damnedest to play. And he starts to get there, and he's getting there, but his left hand is gone. It's too clumsy. He can't play with it right, and he can't do it. And his daughter comes up there as he's trying to play, and it's not working. And Cap storms up to the top of the castle. He stops playing. He picks up the machine gun and goes to fire. Cap hits him with his shield, and he goes over the side. And you're like, wow, that's a real character moment. That is a really good, strong idea of the future was taken away from both of these men. And the Red Skull keeps saying throughout the movie, like, little brother, over and over again. And in the theatrical cut, you're like, sure. Like, it's a little bit of that, we're not so different, you and I. Like it's sort of that kind of dialogue. In the director's cut, you're like, it rings because thematically they are brothers. It's not just the serum, it's that they are linked.
Yeah, the collision of the two of them is really fascinating because I feel like perhaps there's like perhaps like the movie isn't quite getting there, and it's me just kind of like trying to fill in blanks that don't warrant filling, but it's just me projecting or something. But the initial confrontation between the two of them, Cap and Red Skull, in the 40s at the missile silo, is really interesting because it's the only time that we see Red Skull as a proper Red Skull, looking as you would expect him to for 1990 standards. By the way, the makeup effects in this are very good, all around. You can tell they knew Albert Pyun has always been regarded as he's passed away unfortunately, but was always regarded as like a very even-handed director who's very much a let's get shit done kind of guy. I don't know if he was an on budget and on time kind of guy, but basically you could give him nothing and he would give you something in return. And aesthetics, lighting in particular, cinematography are some of his better strengths. And makeup effects in this one, like he has an extensive background, or rather had an extensive background working with a lot of effects people, and you can tell they spared no expense making sure they got someone good, because we don't just have Red Skull, we also have a couple of old age makeups that we need to do as well, and they're both done very well. The only reason they don't look excellent is because I'm watching this on a 1080p Blu-ray, but if I was watching this on a VHS, it looked terrific.
It makes Zack Snyder's Watchmen and their old age makeup look like an elementary school play.
No joke. Dead on. But anyway, coming back to their confrontation in the 40s. What's fascinating about it is that we don't have intervening scenes between Red Skull being a child and Red Skull being a fully formed Red Skull. But when he sees Captain America, it's like he's lit up with purpose, and he has an audience. He's performative, he's theatrical, and it seems like in his mind, this is what he was made for, is to humble and humiliate and destroy his brother, like his opposite, the US version of himself. And he's relishing the opportunity because there's all sorts of very deliberate shots of him looking up into the rafters at the fascist officials looking down on the scene. Like he's performing for an audience. No other scene in the movie really has that, nor do we really get like that explosive, like essence of energy or fire lit in the Red Skull character later on in the film when Captain America reemerges. Like maybe that's a performance thing or a directing thing. However, we do get some of that energy brought forth via some of the flashbacks. Like you said, when he reads the newspaper is when we see from Red Skull's perspective, oh yeah, that's that fucker that made me cut my own hand off. like he views that as like a slight or a failure or a wound of some sort. But his performance is very stoic in that moment. It's more just like a seething, like Captain America. But it's interesting when you get to the end of the movie. There's a line of dialogue from Red Skull, telling his daughter, who he's been kind of brusque with throughout the whole movie. Like she serves as his appendage, as his public agent. Like there's a reason why he has had like plastic surgery and stuff, is that he's supposed to be a phantom of sorts. He doesn't have a public presence. She can function in public and perform assassinations as an extension of him, kind of. He straight up just says, "I love you." Those are I think his last words in the film before he steps forward, seemingly knowing that he's going to get hit with that. He's going to get whomped with that shield and probably go off of that cliff. But again, this could just be me projecting. It almost feels like it's a nod to the future, to hope, kind of, where it's like, yeah, maybe you can be better than me, kind of, where it's like you're you're not going off of the cliff, I am, and there's a reason I'm going off of this cliff. It's because it's alluded to. I don't remember if it's explicitly stated in the director's cut. It certainly is in the theatrical. But in the theatrical cut, they attribute the assassination of like Martin Luther King and JFK, basically everybody in the 20th century who went down in the U.S. Is attributed to the Red Skull's machinations. I don't remember if that's explicitly stated in the director's cut. Point is, yeah, okay, both. So it's consistent across both. Point is, bad motherfucker, done a lot of bad shit, and then that last moment of him trying to play the piano, it's just like kind of hammering home the point that's like, yeah, there's no redemption waiting for me. Like I am what I am at this point. So I kind of took that as just like a nod to the future, where it's like, daughter, stick around, see if you can do better. Kind of like a hopeful future for her.
I think you could also, and for those of you playing Catching Up on Cinema Bingo at home, this is actually your free space. We're taking the material for a walk. This is dead center. Taking the movie for a walk is your free space.
I'm doing it for about 45 minutes at this point.
Yeah. If you wanted to extrapolate,
yeah,
the Red Skull's entire life is performance.
Yeah.
Because as a child, he thought it would be with the piano. He thought it would be with performing for the crowd. And he's still performing for the crowd. He's still doing it. It's still something that he's been wanting to do. But it's like, at this point, you know, the thing he was created to do, which is to be this weapon for the fascists, and he beats Captain America, and he loses his hand in the process, the original means which he wanted to perform. It's like, okay, now for 40 odd years, he hasn't been able to do it. And now it has just been routine. And maybe it is getting dull, and maybe it is getting boring. And you see in his conversations with his daughter, he's like, yeah, whatever. You know, I'm just trying, like, we're just going to get these things done. When he's with the world leaders and the generals and these captains of industry, he's bigger, he's larger than life, and he's making these grand speeches. To his daughter, he's dead. He's got nothing in him. But the one spark of personal passion is Captain America is still alive. Like, maybe, because like as the film goes on, as they get that confrontation, that fire starts to build again. And I think there is kind of that realization with that finale of, I can't perform in any of the ways that I know how now. I can't finish this plan that I put together with these guys, with the world leaders. I can't perform in the way that I have for the last 40 years. I can't kill Captain America, which is what I had my life ruined to do to begin with. And I can't even do what I always really wanted, which was just to play the piano. It's like, none of this is in the theatrical cut. None of this. It's like, this is what I have to stress, is that in the theatrical cut, what we have, because the story is told chronologically, is an action picture. And kind of a sleepy action picture at that. And all of this stuff we're playing at is through editing and is through excised scenes. And even then, those excised scenes, like the VA hospital scene, I don't think it would have worked in the theatrical cut because it's so tonally different. It is so downbeat in a film that is more conceivably like an action film. Like, it's like, oh, it's a straightforward action picture. It doesn't really work. But For the most part, we are seeing all of this created through editing. And it's remarkable that we have been able to actually talk at length for like 45 minutes about this film and the themes of this film. We could not have done with the theatrical cut. We couldn't have done it. We would have just been laughing at Cap jacking a car twice. In the theatrical cut, he pulls the same I feel like I'm going to be sick carjacking stunt twice. And even then, the first time he does it is better than the director's cut.
Yeah,
because we haven't spent 35 minutes with him.
Yeah, we don't know him yet. We don't know that he's an honest fella. Lying doesn't come naturally to him. But they fuck up the editing on the second one, because like really you missed an opportunity to just have him say the words and then hard cut to him driving away and her on the sidewalk.
Sharon, could you pull over for a minute? I think I'm gonna be sick.
I think I'm going to be. I do like that he says it with more confidence the second time. Just because it's like it's the second time he's warming up to this idea of deception and lying and stuff. I think I'm going to be sick. But no, they have a whole back and forth, and it's like too long. Get out of here. Get out. Yeah, the structure of framing, going through things with the flashbacks, like framing things as memory, I think lends it a cohesiveness, like even though it's like spread out, like it's not linear, like it makes it more cohesive. It makes a lot of the cinematography and some of the editing make more sense. Like you can kind of see the intent, like retroactively, like you can kind of see the intent when you're watching the director's cut, where you're like, oh, that's why that scene is shot that way. Like you had mentioned, Levi, the going away party. It has a weird atmosphere to it. It feels kind of dreamlike. And if you frame it as memory, that adds up. That makes sense. But if you just get dropped into that scene in that awkward kitchen moment where he's staring at his mom awkwardly, it's like, what is this? But if you frame it as memory, it plays very well. And then when you extend that to other characters throughout the film who make contributions to the greater tapestry of the thing, it gives it a cohesive like rhythm and cadence and punctuation almost. Like for instance, Darren McGavin's in this movie. He's awesome. He's the dad from A Christmas Story.
And now that star is crooked.
He's fucking hilarious in everything he does, including this. I love his last line in the movie where Ronnie Cox, the president, Darren McGavin plays a general who is in opposition to a lot of the president's policies that he's trying to introduce involving dismantling a lot of the military-industrial complex in favor of environmentalism. And Darren McGavin's like this Southern general type, is fast-talking type guy that like is in opposition to all of this and is covertly working with the Red Skull to assassinate the president or mind control him rather. And Ronnie Cox catches him at the castle at the end and he's like, what are you doing here? It's like, I got here just in time to save you. He's like,
I'm in command.
Yeah, I'm in command. It's like, wow, you showed up like 2 seconds after I made the call for help. That's very punctual. But Ronnie Cox tells him, like, I don't think you're going to worm your way out of this one. And there's this beat where Darren McGavin, it may have been improvised, but he's like, you sure? like, are you sure about that? I've done it before. I think I could weasel out of pretty much anything. They just slugs him. But it's not present as far as I know in the theatrical cut, but Darren McGavin's character gets a flashback in the director's cut that links him to the origin of Captain America and introduces him as the saboteur who brought the assassin to the chamber to kill Dr. Viselli, an Italian woman, as opposed to Dr. Erskine, I believe a German scientist, a male scientist in the comics. That's a funny thing about this movie is the Italy aspect of it, where it's like, classically anyway in the comics, Red Skull is German. Like he is a Nazi, capital N Nazi. In this one though, it's like apparently there were incentives to film in Italy.
Yeah, I mean I'm trying to remember. It's how am I blanking on his name? It's like a ridiculously German name. Somebody's shouting it at the screen right now.
Oh, Red Skull? It's Schmidt, I believe is his last name.
Yeah, it's like Johann Schmidt.
Johann Schmidt, I believe. Yeah. We just remembered that first. We didn't Wikipedia that. We just pulled that out of our assholes.
That is the
probably
most
wrong.
dipped in sauerkraut. Yeah, it probably is. It is the most dipped in sauerkraut name you could possibly get. Yeah. What's funny is that, this is shot in Rome. It's not Rome.
No.
Because we can't even make the arguments that it's like, oh yeah, there was incentives for shooting in Italy. Guys, this is shot mostly in Zagreb in Croatia. And you can tell it's shot in Zagreb in like 1990 because there's graffiti on the wall that says something about Armenia.
Oh, okay.
For those listeners who are not aware of that part of the world, this was like right in a sliver of time where Yugoslavia was like on the verge of completely shattering. Like, we are just like a year and some change shy of genocide, of like a crazy doggone war that we are still feeling the effects of. So there's something really interesting about just being like, oh, hey, like this is, yeah. Oh, that's where we are. Which is definitely not Rome in the film. That doesn't play into any of it. But just in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, this is a weird snapshot for this particular filming location, considering this and most of the surrounding area is going to be very not fun to be in here in a couple years.
I mean, unfortunately, that's probably what motivated, filming there. Is it probably was dirt cheap because of the turbulent nature of like the volatile state of things. But yeah, apparently initially, like in the planning phase, Italy was fingered as like that's where we're gonna shoot this picture, and that's like, oh, we didn't film it in Italy. So it's like, so why the fuck did we? Why? It's an odd detail. It doesn't like muck anything up because this one is so character focused. The director's cut, that is. And the theatrical, it doesn't fucking matter because it's such a paper thin story anyway. It's just odd because it like the character of Red Skull in particular is just so strongly tied to the Nazi Party, and Germany. But yeah, Italy instead, and we get Scott Paulin playing the Red Skull in this. I really liked him, and I looked at his filmography, and it's like I don't like he was a working ass actor, but I didn't really see much of his work. Just say that much. And if I did, I didn't know it was him. But I liked him in this. His accent is fun. It's very. He seems like he's tapping into Bela Lugosi more so. Like he dips into Bela Lugosi. Like it is Italian sometimes when he wants it to be, but other times it's just vaguely Eastern European.
Far away.
Yeah. Scott Paulin's Red Skull is from far away.
Yeah, I did confirm Johann Schmidt. We were right.
Yeah, we know things. We've read some comics. But yeah, as far as cast goes, may as well just rattle them off. I mentioned Darren McGavin. Ronnie Cox also plays the president. Plays a good guy. Doesn't always do that. Dick Jones from RoboCop, if you get the reference. And also Matt Salinger plays Cap in this, Captain America, relative of J.D. Salinger, the author. And yeah, Matt Salinger in this is an odd choice. Like, I mean, he's got the stature by acting standards. He's got a fine mop of hair. He's got the right eye color. He works in the director's cut, and in any other cut of this movie, I don't think he works very well. But he works in the director's cut because of the uncertainty. Like, he's very good at portraying vulnerable and uncertain. He's not a good action hero, though, not even a little bit. But for the director's cut, that interpretation of the character, with some of those aspects of the character more greatly emphasized and fleshed out, yeah, he works. Like, I think he does a fine job with that. But for like the theatrical version, or like a more traditional action picture, which the theatrical version is, he's a warm body. He fills the suit, kind of. The eye holes are a little fucked up.
Yeah,
although it does make me smile knowing that they did do like a comic accurate suit for the movie. Like Disney didn't have the balls for that for a few years. They still haven't put the fucking wings on the side of the helmet. It is one of those costumes that it's difficult to imagine in 3 dimensions. It works much better on the panel than it does on the screen, but it's kind of neat that they tried anyway. They're like, fuck it, we're gonna cap this shit up. And it's like, yeah, it looks kind of bad, but you did it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It looks a little goofy, but again, somehow by the end of the director's cut, like there's this there's this moment of like the side by side, and we get these wonderful profile shots of the Red Skull being like, "And you will die as you lived, a failure whom nobody cared about." And he's on the right side of the frame, and then we cut to Cap on the left side of the frame, and he says, "I care." And by that moment in the climax, like the suit kind of bleeds away a little bit. You're no longer thinking about, this is a little silly. Like the suit looks a little silly. You're locked in. You're like, he does care. Cap's here. He's not gonna screw this up. It's interesting on the note of Steve's portrayal in this is like, yeah, lousy, not an action hero. Like the theatrical cut, he does not carry it. It's weird because it reminds me almost a little bit of Disney's Hercules. Of like, it has a little bit of that uncertainty.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little bit of that uncertainty, but there is sort of the bravado. There is like, I am a hero and I can do it. And it's like, but I don't know. But maybe. But possibly. It's like there are looks that he gives in this, especially during like the end of that hour. He looks like a lost child. Like he looks... It's the kind of thing that you could not coax out of a athlete musclehead actor. Like, if you just wanted somebody, he looks good in the suit, put him in there. Because they wanted Dolph Lundgren initially. Yes. They wanted Dolph Lundgren for this, which would have made him both Punisher and Captain America, which would have been nuts. I'm really glad they have who they have. I'm glad they have Salinger, because while he kind of falls flat in the theatrical cut, in the director's cut, he has enough chops that he can properly give like the forlorn performance that he needs to give, while also having the determination and sort of the dramatic angles of like, he just needs the push in the right direction. And when he squares his jaw and when he's ready to go, you do feel it. It feels like somebody kind of stealing themselves. Like this maybe isn't their natural state of mind, but they're gonna go and do it anyway. It's kind of a complex performance when edited right.
Yeah, the portrayal of this version of Steve is courageous. His spirit is willing, but it comes, like you said, it's not his natural state to jump into the fray and be an action hero, but the will is there. But it comes with the caveat of having to push through fear, i.e. courage. And you really see that in the way that he's framed in the action sequences. It always comes, it's laborious for him. It's not natural. It's difficult. And it makes him very endearing. And I like the comparison to being a lost child, because so much of the director's cut version of the character is steeped in guilt. Like he has almost like a survivor's guilt, but it's more like great expectations were placed on him. But not only that, great sacrifices were made to put him in the position that he is in. Like for instance, it's only in the director's cut. In the theatrical cut, both versions, when Dr. Vizelli is assassinated immediately after he is formed as Captain America, after the injection of the super soldier serum, she dies in his arms, and tells him, like, basically says, go off, stop them, like go on to do great things, essentially. Like I'm gone, but you are still here. You got to make it count. And then only in the director's cut, we see him making landfall, and being guided through the forest by a couple of French resistance fighters, one of whom again is a young woman, and there's two of them, and they immediately are gunned down. And they take great care to show Steve attempt to contribute to the fighting. He has a Colt 45. He's just like shooting into the woods, and everybody's already dead. Like, he's completely incompetent. He's completely out of his depth. And then he's like, oh shit. And again, a young woman dies in his arms. And it's that sensation of, these are the people that are pushing me along. Like a woman died making me strong when I was weak. Another young woman died getting me into the fight. I better win the fucking fight. And then in his own mind, I lost the fight.
And to push further, another woman dies protecting him because Bernie has, later on after Cap thaws, the Red Skull's looking for him, and is like sends out his daughter and his daughter's like other sub henchmen. We have layers of management here.
So the Fox Force 5 is in this movie. It's a cameo.
Yeah, I don't know.
Albert Pyun was a man of great taste.
That he was. If there's anything that we knew how to do in the 80s, it was have beautiful women with big hair that we just focus on. And we're just going to sit here for a bit.
It's like, they're not doing anything? You're doing a lot.
Yeah. That's where you're wrong, Orson.
Yeah, they are
doing something.
Yeah, they're bringing all the production. Shut up.
Yeah. But so they come in and they burst into the house where she is, where they think Cap is, because they tail Ned Beatty's character, who is a reporter who's been tracking down Cap, and they don't shy away from the fact that they just torture this old woman to death, demanding to know where Cap is. And Steve and their daughter comes out rushing to the house after they hear the news, and they're wheeling her father away, and she's just like, they kept demanding where Captain America was, and she didn't say a thing. And as they're zipping up the body bag, you just see like the edge of her face, and it is like hamburger. Like they tortured her to death. So that's 3. And 4 is the daughter. Is our Sharon Carter, effectively. And this is the last opportunity. This is the one that we can save. And it's... Yeah, Did I mention that none of this is in the theatrical cut?
Yeah, I mean, Bernie does get murdered in the theatrical cut, but it's pretty quick. We don't like linger on it at all. The scene is actually dramatically effective in both cuts of the film. Like,
it is
pretty good acting from the Sharon Carter actress in particular. And yeah, that's both Ned Beatty and Bernie go down. So two more support systems go down in that same sequence there. Point is, like, just stressing the point further, belaboring the point really, is that there is a particular kind of guilt that comes with, like, I hesitate to use the term because it's so charged these days, but like privilege, essentially. Like he has been afforded great opportunity by the sacrifices and loss of other people. And therefore it instills in him this sense that, oh man, I gotta count for something, because a lot of people died getting me. Many Bothans died getting me to the Red Skull's fortress.
Well, I mean, the charge that he is given at the beginning is, your father is gone. Go out and be as brave as he was. Like,
be a little smarter.
His sacrifice gives you this, and here is your totem. Yep. Here is the totem of somebody that died for your freedom, for your liberty, so you can go out and do something good. Mm-hmm. And he keeps being given these totems. It's like, because Ned Beatty, when he's killed by this assassin, hands off the this Captain Midnight decoder that he had when he was a kid with the guy that goes on to be the president. Like, get this to him. And it's one more person that gave their life so Cap could be in one piece. It's one more person, and it's this ever-growing stack of bodies of people that are giving themselves so Captain America can succeed. And it is this mounting wall of guilt of, I'm supposed to be the one. I'm supposed to be the one that's sacrificing.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's like, if you apply that to, you know, the greater world, and there is a lot of that kind of messaging in the director's cut in particular. It's like, you know, the world might be a little bit of a better place. So it's through the efforts of a Captain America-like figure, through the symbology of a Captain America-like figure, that we can get heroism. We can get into the fight, and that kind of stuff actually like tickles you and like actually carries some weight. Like it is kind of neat seeing him in that goofy costume at the end of the movie, fighting side by side with the president, because the president also lights up with like childlike glee when he sees him in the fucking costume. And Ronnie Cox is a very good actor, so he sells the moment really, really well. Man, it's really incredible just how much is in the director's cut, which, by the way, is in work print status. This isn't like an ultra polished, refined version of the thing. It's there are some technical issues with it for sure, but it's still just so rich. There's so much more to it than the theatrical cut, in spite of all that.
There is a moment where we straight up do not have footage, and we have the tail leader of one of the reels. So it's like that goes by while the dialogue is still going. And especially at the tail end of the film, like, we have marred, like, there's portions of the film that are marred and like kind of scratched up. So it's like, this thing hasn't been like, this has been cleaned and scanned to the best of their abilities. And even then, flaws and all. And the other thing is that we have been glazing the director's cut. I suppose I could get to some of the things that I don't favor. The music of the director's cut is more effective than the music in the theatrical cut. The problem is the music in the work print is clearly a placeholder. Yeah. I do like it. I like it as a direction because it feels proper. Because where the theatrical cut feels cheap, it's like Casio stuff. It's like it feels like, you know, you get like the horn noises and stuff, but it's like Casio horn noises. It's pretty rough. And there are some moments, like there's a moment in the theatrical cut that I'm like, okay, point to the theatrical cut for this. The moment where they're discussing outside of Steve's hospital room, where they're like, we need to get him in on this fight. We need to get him in there because they're going to launch a rocket at Washington. And the doctor's like, you can't do this. Again, albeit goofy, music swells as Steve stands up and he says, where's that launch site? It's like, good. Where in the director's cut, it's a little tighter and it's quiet. Yeah. It's silent. So I'm like, okay, I could have done with a little, you know, pomp.
Yeah.
And we get that in the theatrical cut. The problem is that in the work print, though the music is effective and I like it and I feel like it adds a certain atmosphere to these scenes, we got about one track. We got like one or two tracks that are there as placeholders for probably what would have come in the future. So you will be hearing the same beats and motifs over and over and over again. Not to a point that it's truly taking away from the film, but to a point that you're like, this again?
Yeah, it's very repetitive, and it's just kind of digital ominous droning. Like it's just kind of miscellaneous, like slightly ominous digital, like electronic droning, and it plays over like the entire castle sequence of the movie. So like the last 20-30 minutes of the thing, and it does weigh on it a bit. I don't think either film has an outstanding soundtrack, like you said. I don't know, the rock jazz tune, the blues rock tunes for the first five, little objectionable, but you know, it's at least got some sass to it, I guess.
I like the Diet Bruce Springsteen tune that accompanies the traveling montage. And all I know is what my heart keeps saying. All these memories of you, girl.
Yeah, it's Bruce Springsteen meets Randy Newman.
It's like you're lonely and you're traveling the country, but you're alone. Like, it kind of has this tonality to it where it sounds like someone at the local bar kind of remembered a Springsteen song, but only halfway. But they like got confused.
Yeah, it's like they went down the call sheet of the Rocky IV soundtrack and like hit everybody up, and everybody said no, but they said, well, I got a brother-in-law.
Yeah, exactly. Shockingly, this is actually Frank Stallone.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, hey, his brother did work with Canon at least once, so yeah, maybe there was an association there. Frank Stallone would have ripped this shit up. but yeah, both versions have Springsteen light songs attached to them. A few of them actually. Direct, like the end credits for the theatrical one definitely has another song. So there's at least two on there. Director's cut has a different song, something about in the dark. Just something about I'm alone in the dark.
It's a little silly.
Both of them have like montages. Major difference is the theatrical cut has like a lengthy one showing the passage of time that Duran Could have filed suit for the piece of music that they use, I think, for the 1970s and 80s through the passage of that. But it's actually a decent little montage showing the passage of time, but it's done much more succinctly in the director's cut. Not as visually interesting, but the opening credits of the director's cut, I think, are actually very effective. Where there's no visual elements, it's just purely audio, but it's just telling you, here's the little boy who saw Captain America, was inspired by Captain America saving the White House, and over these blank, just like black credits, now we're going to tell you via audio the life journey of soon to be President Kimball. It's actually very effective. It's done really well. It's edited very, very cleanly.
Imagine if your superhero movie was entirely the Unicron theme from Transformers the movie, like that.
Yeah. Was the Captain America theme in the theatrical code? This one is like,
yeah, it is. It's like the Captain America march is being played on a Casio from 1978. It's kind of amazing. It's
a deep cut, deep cut. But I don't know if anybody listening to this, or you, Levi, for that matter, have ever played I think it's a Sunsoft game, which traditionally had very good soundtracks. I think it was a Sunsoft game. It was Superman on the NES.
Yes.
The title theme, it makes me think of that. That game was dog shit.
Superman gets a name drop in this. DC Comics is canonical to this universe.
Yeah, that is a really fascinating thing that they actually named the competition. That can only be done in movies of this nature, i.e. canon films where they give zero fucks.
Well, Canon had the rights to Superman at this time because Superman 4.
They did.
And they're like, we can do this.
So we
have both of them.
Yeah, so we're gonna push that button. Push the Whopper button.
Push the Whopper button. In addition, outside, somewhere in this grand Marvel canon universe, the Human Torch and Namor are kicking ass.
Yeah, we have most of the invaders name dropped in this.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that they actually bothered to. Like, who would it, like, they could have just said whatever generic non-superhero characters, just to avoid anything. But yeah, Human Torch and Namor are both name dropped in this. Captain Midnight wasn't a Marvel character, but was like a pulp character of sorts, apparently. But yeah, like, that's a movie that I can't believe has never happened. Get me an Invaders film. Fuck.
It's one of those that it really brings it, because my comic book brain is going here. There is because my brain's already writing the Marvel What If story of what if Cap failed at his first mission, so you have an Invaders without Captain America.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what happens? Like, what happens with Baron Blood without Cap there to cut his head off? What happens to the Invaders? Like, how does Union Jack get out of this bind? It's like, there was a Justice League story called The Nail, which is nuts.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't read it, but I know the concept. But go ahead.
The Nail freaking rules. The idea is that the Kents don't find Superman. They don't find Kal-El because there's a nail in the tire of their truck. There's a nail in the tire, and it's like, well, Martha, well, we'll just stay in today and we'll go into town tomorrow and get a replacement tire. So Superman just doesn't appear. Does not exist in this world. The League forms without Superman, and it is bananas. It also has one of the most gruesome moments in comics. I think we may have talked about it on the show already. Is Joker murdering Robin and Batgirl in front of Batman. And it has one of the craziest looks I have ever seen drawn on Bruce Wayne. And the sequence ends with Bruce snapping and killing Joker in front of the news crew. And he goes back to the cave, and Alfred's like, Master Bruce, I saw everything on television. What is it? And he comes in holding the cape-wrapped, crushed, mangled bodies of Robin and Batgirl. And they're dead. They're dead. And the art is freaking crazy. it is gut-wrenching. The whole story is just amazing and like really crazy stuff. But yeah, like my brain's writing an Invaders what if of the Invaders the Nail.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh shoot, we have all of these heroes, but no Cap.
Yeah, no Cap, who is by all rights probably the linchpin. It's like Namor is not exactly an easy guy to get along with, and Cap is about as steady a person as it gets. So I'm sure he was a bit grounding in, forging that bond and whatever. But yeah, it's actually funny because I could totally see this script playing pretty well as a comic in general, but in particular as like a what if story of Captain America, because this is so the director's cut especially is so entirely divorced from the typical portrayal of the character. It's like an alternative version. I think if you worked it out, you could actually make a pretty compelling comic where you have the dual protagonist thing represented probably better, honestly, via the panel rather than film. Because in spite of the director's cut strengths, like you said, we've been glazing it, but like I still have issues with some of the pacing. The structure I like a lot better in the director's cut, but some of the pacing of the director's cut I still have issues with. Like some of the flashbacks in the latter portions of the movie feel like we should have been done with this by now. Like
right
in the midst of throwing hands with the Red Skull at the end, it's like, if we're going to be cutting back to the past, that's great. Like paralleling their initial conflict, showing Cap relive that sense of failure. That initial defeat is now being mirrored by a potential defeat, like right now, right here in front of him, at the hands of the same guy. That's effective, but get out of there in like seconds, not minutes. Because
it has to be quick.
It has to be flashes. It has to just be like whap, flash, whap, flash. We can't just cut to 1943 for 2-3 minutes. So stuff like that bothers me a bit. But anyway, to talk comics, subject of Captain America as a comics figure seems to be how we close out a lot of these episodes. Levi, do you have much of a background reading Captain America comics?
I love Cap. I have a pretty decent background where a lot of how I got into comics initially was because my local library carried them. There was a pretty decent section of like back issues and all these like big thick collections. The DC archives, those hardbacks, those real nice hardbacks, is what I read so many comics from the 40s, 50s, and 60s from. And Marvel had a line called Marvel Masterpieces. So I read a lot of the early Avengers, X-Men, and Cap through those. So I really like Cap from those early adventures, and of course the great and mighty Mark Grunwald and his run in the 70s up through the 80s is just absolutely legendary. I really like Cap as a character. I think much like Captain America, much like Superman, Captain America gets kind of pigeonholed in this, he's boring, what can we do with this guy? But in all honesty, I feel like the culture has gotten their heads around Cap in a way that for some reason we can't seem to get around Superman, which is what happens when you put a good man in a world that is getting way more gray. And it's interesting because Donner's Superman, that first film, is working against that from jump. So what are you here to do? Well, I'm here for truth, justice, and the American way. You'll be fighting every elected official in this country. Like, it comes at you with that cynicism. Guys, it's the 70s. Vietnam, Watergate, multiple assassinations. We don't trust anybody. We don't like anybody. you are in a New York City that just experienced rolling blackouts where the police are passing out pamphlets to tourists with the Grim Reaper on it. This is not a fun time to be in a major city. And so that's what Donner Superman is working against. And they managed to do it. They managed to turn this corner of like, well, no, he is that good. He is that good. He's like something out of a dream. And what this movie manages to do, which is interesting because I was holding them both in my mind, is it takes almost this middle road of the world is rough, the world is really kind of coming to this interesting angle, and I'm not who I wanted to be. But I can do it, and I can forge through, and I can have courage. And maybe, just maybe, if we work together and if we have that hope, we can forge forward. And I think that we have managed to do with Cap. And we've managed to do it almost over and over again in a way that we haven't been able to do with Superman in the same way effectively. I think the character's great. I think as a moral compass to Marvel, I think he does great. I think on film, Chris Evans did such a wonderful job as Steve Rogers. I really don't have a lot of bad things to say about the character. He's been up and down just like anybody else. There have been bad runs, there have been good runs. But for the most part, in a strange way, and unlike I think most characters, Cap has remained pretty rooted in his intentions over the years. Which even Superman is kind of like, that idea has kind of drifted and waxed and waned on like where somebody made a jokey political compass of like your different Supermen, of like I don't know, do you have like a more anarcho-capitalist Superman or an anarcho-communist Superman? Like depending on who's writing him, it could go all over the place. Where Cap is pretty well rooted. Like the philosophy and the ideas and the ideals of Captain America have remained pretty consistent for about 80 years.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's funny mentioning the political spectrum of Superman. It brought to mind, I don't remember who wrote it. Was it like, maybe it was Straczynski or something, but it was the Walk. Is that lengthy run where the concept was he wasn't going to fly anymore, and it's just like Superman intervenes with everything, and it's like some of the means by which he intervenes, it's like, that seems like a lot, but okay. But interesting. But yeah, Cap is, I'm so glad we have Cap, because the character has always worked for me, and yeah, he just always has remained very grounded and very centered, and just has that air of like not arrogant righteousness, where it's just like he basically, the way the character is usually framed is he's in the right. He's on the side of hope and dreams and freedom. As for my background with the character in the comics, like you, actually, I have a lot of memories of reading comics at the library. I remember there were these trays that you had to pull out that had a lot of the floppies in them. I remember we had a lot of Deathlock for some reason. Yeah, of all things, Deathlock. But actually, as you were talking, I recalled that like some of the very first superhero comics I ever read were at my grandma's house in Hawaii. They had a big hardback tome of the Superman newspaper comics. Ooh. And it was a big ass hardback tome of, I guess you'd say, like Silver Age comics, baby. But yeah, they were all black and white and very well illustrated. That was like some of my first exposure to superhero comics, and it's really good stuff, actually. But I didn't get to Cap until like a lot later. But I always had an affinity for the character. I've read essentially the entire Ed Brubaker run, which is terrific. seems like he had a falling out with Marvel at a certain point, but he made his contributions, that's for fucking sure. Read quite a lot of the Mark Grunwald stuff. I've cited it numerous times, but in particular, the U.S. agent story is one of my very favorites. I'm a big fan of replacement hero, that trope in superhero comics. In particular, it applies really, really well to Cap because it is that concept of just juicing up anybody with super soldier serum doesn't get you Cap. You need Steve Rogers to get Cap. And that story typifies it so well. Like it portrays that, like the contrast between John Walker and Steve Rogers is something I'd never get tired of, to be frank. But that's the origin of that character in that story.
Well, and what works so well about those types of stories with Captain America specifically is what are the competing ideas of America?
Yeah. Is
it America in the Declaration sense of it? Is it life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? Is it in the noble ideas? Is this the 30s and 40s America? Or is it the world police America? Is it the people who have their hands in everything and are controlling things? Is it the war? Is it like sort of the warmongering image? Is it Nuke? Is it this character who is big and brawny and just wants to come in and crush things and take over? It is having replacement Caps and different people with different super soldier serums is a way of taking on the different lenses of editorial criticism of, well, what is America? What are we? Are we a nation of ideals? Are we just the guy with the biggest stick? Is our power actually because of our ideas, or is it just because of military might? So all of these things we get to play against the classical idea.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating because it's the kind of thing that people who maybe aren't familiar with the character might take for granted. Like they don't have an especially fleshed out understanding of Captain America, but they see the symbology and they just, like you said, in regards to both he and Superman, they just kind of hand wave it away and be like, he's boring. Like, he's just Captain America. Like, how interesting could he be? And the answer is very, especially with the utility of the character. Because that story that I mentioned, the captain, I think is what it was referred to. The whole reason he gets replaced is because he abdicates the position of Captain America because he disagrees with the political administration of the time, which was, I believe, the Nixon administration. So he says, I think I'm done being Cap if this is the party that I'm representing. And then John Walker steps up and says, I'll take the gig. And you get a really amazing story out of it. But I actually really want to, there's a couple of runs that I want to read. I mentioned already a couple of times on the podcast, Mark Waid had a really excellent run on Cap in the 90s, in a time when Cap wasn't like, Marvel kind of didn't want that comic to be doing well, but he just showed up. He showed the fuck up, and Ron Garney did the penciling for that. I'm a big fan of both, less well versed in Mark Waid's writing, but big fan of Ron Garney's pencils. But I really want to get to that someday. And also, I've never read any of his stuff, but he's a contemporary writer, Chip Zdarsky. He's kind of been handed the keys to the Marvel castle in the past 5 years or so. And I want to read his Daredevil, and I also want to read his Cap, which I think is running right now. It sounds like he's doing some really interesting stuff with the character, again, involving not a replacement Cap, but an alternative Cap, like a parallel. A new character he came up with, apparently, who's like an Afghan war veteran, which is naturally going to be a thing with the sliding time scale of the Marvel comic universe. I really want to. It sounds like you're familiar with Chip Zdarsky. Have you read any of his stuff?
His Batman is wild.
Yeah?
because are you familiar with the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh?
Oh yes, I've read Grant Morrison's stuff for the most, like not all of it, but a big chunk of the first portion of it. So up until Incorporated, I stopped.
So one of the things he plays with is Zur-En-Arrh as this, personality in the back of Bruce's head, that essentially Bruce gets in a position where that it reemerges, and it's this thing in the back of his mind that is just like, so when are you just gonna kill all of them? Like, it's like, when are you just gonna, and there's this incredible page, it's unbelievable, of Bruce is like, and Zur-En-Arrh is represented by how he was drawn in the Silver Age. Oh. Like, the big smile and his multicolored outfit, and he's standing there, and he's holding a bleeding, like, modern penciled Bruce Wayne as in his arms in this river of blood, and Bruce is just, so where does it end? Where does it end? Penguin, Riddler, all of them. When does the killing stop? And just with that big smile, Zur-En-Arrh is like, it stops when they scurry back into the shadows like the rats they are. And you're like, this is nuts. It's the whole arc is just really crazy. And Zdarsky is a wonderful writer. He does a lot of good work, and I've heard nothing but good things about his Cap and his Daredevil as well. I would be very interested to read those, because his Batman was a lot of fun.
Yeah, just the amount of faith that's been put in him, like instilled on him, he must be very talented. Because really, he's been given so many of the biggest properties across both of the big two publishers. But I've never picked up one of his books before. But I'm starting to get that itch again. Like, I haven't picked up comics proper in a very long time. But I think I'm back. Maybe. But yeah, I'll have to check that out. I was actually looking up the pencils for the Zdarsky Batman as you were talking just then, and Jorge Jimenez, I think, did a lot of the penciling for it, and looks pretty sharp. Looks pretty good. Marco Cicchetto does the pencils for his Daredevil and his Cap, and I haven't committed a lot of time and effort into drawing in a long time, but it was like everything to me when I was young. If I could force my hand to draw in a certain style, it would probably be Marco Cicchetto's style. I love his art. Him being involved in both of those books is a huge selling point. But yeah, that being said, big fan of Cap. I like the spirit of the character. I like the flexibility of the character. I like all the different ways in which the character can be explored. This movie, both cuts of it being very good examples of ways that you can explore this character in novel ways. And moreover, I also happen to like what he does. Like his superhero toolkit, I think, is really neat. Like I like the idea of somebody who is super strong, but not unreasonably so. Like he and Batman are equivalent, is the way I think of it. Like, they've done the Marvel DC crossovers in the comics and stuff, still haven't in the movies, but give it time. We'll get there. There's money to be made. We'll get there. But I think of them as being equivalent, where the phrase that comes to mind is peak of human capability. Like, both of them are supposed to be the apex of human capability. And I like that as a tool set, where it's like it allows the writer or the penciler or the director to represent the character doing superhuman feats, but it also gives them vulnerability. You're reminded that it's like, oh yeah, if they do get shot in the gut, they will bleed out and die. And as opposed to Superman, which is it's a little bit different. So just in a like general like sense of his abilities, I think it's very appealing what Cap does. Like, he throws shields. He's acrobatic. He punches people. He's a pretty good artist and he's smart.
Yeah, it's Cap kind of harkens back to that old pulp ideal, man. I mean, it's like, hey, so what do you do? I hypnotize people. I hypnotize people really, really well, and I sneak well, and then I shoot them. Cool. I mean, do you do anything? No. What do you do? I'm really strong. Are you bulletproof? No. What do you do? I trained in the Orient. What did that do? I don't know. It's like one of my favorite things about the Justice Society, which was the first superhero team, the Justice Society of America. And they've been mythologized so much over the years, which I love. But going back to the original stories, it really is funny how it's like, okay, so 80% of this team is just guys who punch really good, and then we have the literal personification of the vengeance of God. It's like
who invited the spirit?
It's like, okay, so we got Wildcat and Mr. Terrific and Sandman and the Atom and Black Canary and like, so okay, so most of the crew punches good. Literal personification of the vengeance of the Abrahamic God. Literal vengeance of God. Also, commander and master of order over chaos. Over here, man who punches really good.
It's like, what does that dinner conversation look like? Is what I want to know.
The thing is that we know, because that's the format of those old school issues, is the Justice Society doesn't become a team that goes out and works together for a couple of issues. So the first handful is just them coming together for like a dinner party and just being like, so this is what I've been up to. And Spectre's like, so I hunted a set of jewel thieves and I flew past Jupiter and then I stripped them using the power of God. And Sandman's like, yeah, that's cool, bud. I punched a guy and then I said some poetry at him and I shot him with my gas gun, and then Wildcat's like, I just punch people really good.
Yeah, and then what? Green Lantern contributes to this, like, I'm allergic to wood. These chairs are making me itchy.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't favor them. That's one of my favorite things, is that Sportsmaster was legitimately a pretty good Green Lantern villain for Alan Scott, because it's like, oh shit, he's throwing bats.
He got a bat. Then they started making those aluminum bats, and Sportmaster was out.
And it's just like, you've made a fatal flaw, sir. Yeah, it's like, I love that team, but it is really funny of seeing like the very pulp characters, like Wesley Dodd's Sandman, who is like pure pulp. And then there's the Flash.
Like, hello, I'm Hermes. Or at least I wear his hat.
Yeah, it's like, I can run at the speed of sound. I can like faster.
I can run really fast.
Yeah, it's great. And Cap is kind of in that same lineage, because he is of that early ilk of characters. And we forget, Superman used to be really cool. Like, really cool. Almost because he was less impressive. Because it's like, all right, he can leap tall buildings in a single bound. Nothing less than an exploding shell can pierce his skin. And he can leap 1/8 of a mile, run faster than an express train. But it's like, if you hit him hard enough, it will be a problem. Like, if you actually hit Superman with a truck, it might be an issue.
Yeah, according to those metrics, yeah, that would probably lay him out for a bit. Probably like, oh, Rooster Rib that time.
Well, because it's like there's stories of the time where it's like a corrupt industrialist isn't treating his workers right, and Superman just wrecks his office.
He was kind of a prick in those early comics.
Well, it's the Superman political compass of like, Superman is the champion of unions and the working man. Like, because you have anarcho-communist Superman down here.
It's funny, a lot of my early memories of reading those newspaper comics were like him showing up at people's doorsteps and they're still like in their bathrobes.
Right.
And he just starts a scrap with them out of nowhere. They're like, whoa, I just woke up. What the fuck, Soups?
Yeah, he beats the living shit out of a wife beater.
Yeah,
he's just like, well, I'll show you, and he's just like, ah.
Yeah, honestly, that was kind of the flow of a lot of those early newspaper comics. Shit. But yeah. Any closing thoughts on Captain America from 1990, Levi?
In all honesty, if you guys have the time and wherewithal, I'm pretty sure you can get both of these cuts for free online. I watched the theatrical cut over on YouTube. I think the director's cut is up on Archive. I think. Double check. If you guys got 3.5 hours and you want a masterclass in how editing changes a film, watch them both. Seriously. Like, if you approach film in that way, watch them both back to back. If you are just a film goer and you're like, I would like to see a different Captain America movie, watch the director's cut. Have a ball.
Yeah, I would say that's a fun exercise, in particular if you're interested in the art form of editing and how much of an impact it has onto the presentation of a thing. And yeah, I also watched the theatrical version on YouTube, so that's readily available. No excuses there. But director's cut is by far the more fascinating of the two cuts. And if you have the time and the interest, watching them both back to back is a really fun exercise. We got a 2-hour conversation out of it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And if copies are still available, Yippee-ki-yay Mother Video, seriously, support them. Go buy it. It's a cool packet. Listen, little light on extras. That is one criticism I will give. Is that it's like previous, and maybe it's copyrighted by somebody else or something. There are like interviews and a bunch of other stuff on previous releases that I would have loved to see on this. Even there's a small featurette of like, well, here's what happened. Here's why this is being released. That's just, it's good informationally, but it's not really produced.
Yeah.
There is another featurette of just like, here's what I think about Captain America. Again, it's not really produced. There's a theatrical trailer, which is fine. I wish it was more of a robust package, especially because if I'm recalling correctly, it is a little spendier.
Yeah.
I want to say it's in the $30 range because it's a boutique item.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I wish it was a more complete package. However, for a small boutique house, I'm happy with my purchase. It is one that I look forward to showing to people who are also interested in the character, who only know the 1990 movie as sucking. This is one that I would love to double feature with Corman's Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it seems to be a perfect pairing, honestly. Like, I actually just mentioning it makes me want to rewatch the Roger Corman one, or at the very least that documentary, the Doomed documentary about it, which is a very solid documentary. I think Shout Factory maybe put out the theatrical version on Blu-ray of Captain America. Cheap disc. As far as I know, there's no real extras on it, but if you care to have that on your shelf, it's also available. It's not like it's some arcane relic that you can't get your hands on. But yeah, Yippee-ki-yay Mother Video. Check them out. They are a very small boutique operation, but They have a project called the Pyuniverse I think in the lead up to his passing, they already had started working on that. Like when they caught wind that he was ill, was when that got started. I don't know what else is involved, like part of that catalog, but the man has a large body of work. So maybe there's some other. I think Cyborg. I think they put out a disc version of the Slinger version of Cyborg, which is the international title for that film. The Van Damme movie, also directed by Albert Pyun. I haven't looked into the details of that disc, but that is another one of his films that, like this one, I had heard rumblings, I've heard rumblings over the years, has a drastically different cut. And it's kind of an odd movie in general. So I might check that out, actually, because especially visually, Cyborg has a lot of strengths. Like plot and character stuff is kind of garbage, but visually there's some really neat shots in that one, and some neat set designs and effects work as well. But yeah, wrapping up here. So hey, Levi, before we go, how about you let everybody know where they can find you and your YouTube channel?
You can find me over at Your Captain Speaking on YouTube. I tend to talk about short paperback books, usually in the men's action genre, talking about characters like Conan, Elric, James Bond, Zorro. I did an episode on the Phantom of the Opera that people really seem to like. I want people to get back into reading, especially if you start with short fiction. It's not that big of a threat. They clip along. You can knock them out in an afternoon. They're a lot of fun. Get back in, sharpen yourself, and also have fun along the way. We're also producing radio shows this summer. We perform them live and we record them. I have 2 episodes in the hopper right now that we're going to put out. I am so happy with how they're turning out this year.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of listening to the intro of one of those, and I can tell you right now, if that's indicative of the rest of the thing, it's going to be great. So look forward to that. Definitely check out Levi's channel, Your Captain Speaking. He does magnificent work over there. But yeah, as for myself and this show, it's called Catching Up on Cinema. You're listening to it and or watching it. You can find us pretty much everywhere podcasts are found. And also we do a live stream about once a month called Tales from the Shelf, wherein we talk about our movie collections. So tune into that, like, share, subscribe, and all that shit. And we will catch you next time. Bye.
That is all for